There are many places in the world enchanting at the first sight. One of such places is Visovac. Visovac is an islet on the river Krka, endowed with natural beauties and spiritual dimensions. This islet and its Franciscans monastery have a profound significance for all Catholics in Dalmatia, especially for the worshippers of Our Lady of Visovac or Our Lady of Angels. The surroundings of Visovac, Krka National Park, the vicinity of Roški Fall, and interesting boat excursions to River Krka account for the increase in the number of tourists who visit the islet. Visiting Roški Fall, you will see many interesting sights, like beautiful waterfalls. There are several traditional watermills here, which are still used to grind grain like in old days. You can also visit the museum, in which you can see traditional loom and other interesting exhibits. During the boat ride from Roški Fall to Visovac Islet, the visitor will pass through the beautiful canyon of River Krka. Above the canyon, there are ancient ruins of several forts and castles. One of these archaeological sites is Kamičak Castle. Its ruler, Grgur Jutješinović, gave Visovac Islet to the Franciscans. This happened in 1445 after the friars retreated from Bosnia before Turks. It is presumed that Visovac Islet, known also as Bijela Stijena, White Rock, or Lapis albus in Latin, was inhabited by monks even before that time, but its true progress began only with the arrival of Franciscans friars. Praying and working industriously for centuries, the Franciscans expanded the islet in circles. With love and care, they grew the plants and built the church and the monastery. Political circumstances changed with time. Visovac was jeopardized on several occasions, but faith in the Holy Spirit and Our Lady of Visovac gave the friars and the local population strength to find the right path of survival and preservation of faith. Under markedly harsh circumstances, the Franciscans from Visovac managed to obtain the permission to perform the religious ceremonies in the area from River Cetina to River Zemlja from Turkish Sultan Mehmed II el-Fatih, the Conqueror. Later on, the area extended to the town of Sen and Krbava, which tells us enough about the significance of Visovac Franciscans. The friars did not give way to different problems, and in spirit of everything, they continued living on the islet. They visited believers, gathered them, comforted and encouraged them, gave them sacraments, encouraged the development of national consciousness, and spread literacy. They encouraged the people to keep the faith and hope in liberation from the Turks, and the people knew how to appreciate, so they protected Franciscans and Visovac. They still do it today. One of the most famous fighters against Turks, national hero Vuk Mandušić, also frequented Visovac. His saber is exhibited in the Visovac Museum. Under extreme grave circumstances, like in 17th century during Candian War, Franciscan friars from Visovac spearheaded the war against Turkish occupation. Because of that, they found themselves in an unviable position. They even had to leave the islet for a while and take refuge in Šibenik. During that period, being afraid that the Turks would occupy the islet, the Venetians set the monastery and the church on fire. They were completely destroyed. Refugee Franciscans founded St. Lawrence Monastery in Šibenik, in which they lived for some time, helping local population fight the plague. The relics and paintings from Visovac were hidden in the new monastery, and when they returned to the islet, the Franciscans brought some of those treasures back. Since they had problems with traveling and performing ceremonies in another state, the Franciscans decided to return to Visovac. They asked Turkish government for the permission to do so. Bosnian Pasha Mahmed gave the friars a charter of forgiveness, so-called Bojrutia, at the province assembly in Fornica. After that, the friars returned to Visovac and their land was returned to them. That was confirmed by a permission or ferman issued by Sultan Mehmed IV on the 10th March 1672 in Drinopolje. 18th century brought peace to the islet, and Father Stjepan Brakus built the structure next to the church and a new 3-story wing of the monastery. Father Pavao Nikolic built Babina Kuća, a guest house for the visitors. Another significant Franciscan lived in Visovac during that time. That was Father Toma Babić, who wrote Latin Croatian grammar and a very popular book, Cvit razlika mirisa duhovnoga, a flower of spiritual differences. Next to Babić wing, sometime later, Father Petar Petrovic built a big battlemented well with stone canopy erected on 4 stone pillars. This is by all means one of the most beautiful parts of Visovac. Those and other intellectuals and writers among Franciscans from Visovac took part in creating a very extensive and significant library. It still exists on the islet, as well as the big archive where many documents related to historical events in our country are stored. Some of those documents are exhibited in the Monastery Museum, and the visitors are welcome to see them during their stay on Visovac. At the beginning of the 19th century, during the French occupation, the situation on Visovac worsened. The French wanted to evict the friars from the islet and make an ammunition depot on the islet. Fortunately, French Marshal Marmont sided with the friars and the monastery was saved. During the Illyrian movement, the friars from Visovac stood by the people, like always. Father Miho Pavlinović supported the ideas of the movement and held a series of speeches clearly stating that. He held one of his famous speeches in 1876 at the celebration of tricentennial anniversary of the dedication of the monastery to the Blessed Virgin Mary. In the beginning of the 20th century, when the monastery was redecorated and restored, a part of the old cloister was devastated. At that time, additional adaptation and buildings were done, and the monastery got its present-day appearance. For a long period of time, Visovac existed as a separate economic entity. Together with the traditional agriculture on the islet and surrounding coasts, the friars also developed different crafts. Worship of Our Lady is very prominent on the Visovac. The painting of Our Lady of Visovac is one of the most famous and most worshipped Our Lady's painting in Dalmatia. There are 4 paintings of Our Lady of Visovac, 4 autonomous pieces of art characterized by different styles. 3 of the paintings are dated. First of them is placed at the main altar of the Visovac church. The second painting is kept in St. Lawrence Church in Šibenik. The third was worshipped for a long time as an original, and the fourth one is an icon. According to the Franciscan tradition, the first painting was brought from Bosnia when the friars arrived to Visovac. In spite of being dated with 1576, its origin is still unknown and a subject of legend. It is certain that it is kept in Visovac since 1876, when the friars brought it when they returned from Šibenik. During its entire history, Visovac was an islet of peace and prayer. Its significance as a spiritual center is also rather important recently. It is most obvious on the Our Lady of Angels holiday, or as the people call it, Our Lady of Visovac holiday, and on the Feast of the Assumption. Everyone who wants to feel true inner peace and experience profound prayer should visit Visovac.